Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Dadsigner Podcast. Today, I am joined by Matt Hoffman. Hey, Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Matt, why don't you tell folks a little bit about where you're from, your design background, and a bit about your family?
Yeah, so I am Kentucky born. I am a Cincinnati transplant. Lived in Cincinnati about 16 years or so. Married to my wife, Lana. We have 3 kids, Tessa, Elsie, and Isaac. We homeschool. We're trying to do a little makeshift little homestead in our backyard. So yeah, and then design-wise, I've been designing, I don't know, maybe 18 years or so. So yeah, all kind of started out of playing music and kind of the necessity of band graphics and things like that.
Very cool. From what I looked at online on your site and from your Instagram and whatnot, homesteading kind of fits the vibe. On your intro homepage, dirty hands, busted knuckles, sore muscles. This all kind of aligns with the homesteading aspect too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I've thankfully I've never busted my knuckles with any of the homesteading stuff, but my granddad was grew up a farmer. My mom grew up on a farm. So it really is. It just kind of runs in my blood. So
nice. And do you have animals and a large garden? What's that look like?
We have how many chickens? We have 8 chickens, and we're growing our garden a little bit every year. So
nice.
Trying to be as self-sustainable as we can. Obviously, we can't live on a big farm where we are, but we can do something. So
yeah, very cool. And then when it comes to homeschooling the kids, how much involvement do you have, or is your wife taking the charge on that?
Yeah, so my wife stays home with the kids. She's teaching them just about everything. So I'm kind of the financial support. And then when I can get involved, I'm involved a little bit with music stuff. I help out some, and then our kids are all really into art and creativity and things like that. So they'll kind of sit with me a little bit while I'm working, or ask questions, or we'll get to collaborate on some stuff sometimes. So it's pretty cool. It's a completely different upbringing than either one of us had, and it's been really cool to see how fruitful it is in our kids.
That's awesome. And you mentioned before we hit record, you are currently freelance designer, but in the past have woven in and out of full-time work. What does your work look like right now? What kind of clients are you working with?
Yeah, so I do a lot of church graphics right now. I was on staff at a big church here in Cincinnati for about 4 years before I went back out on my own last summer. So I've got a lot of experience with ministry, with nonprofits, with churches, things like that. But I've also got some other stuff. I do some stuff for bands, local musicians, some other organizations. Worked a lot in coffee, so I've done some stuff with coffee roasters recently here in the city. Yeah, but most of it kind of falls right now in with the church series artwork and social graphics and materials like that. So it's been cool.
Churches desperately need a person that's good at that. Because if they try to do it in-house, if the pastors try to do it in-house, it's always special.
Yeah. Well, what I've seen start to happen, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, but like the subscription services for church graphics has just exploded over the past couple years. Yeah. So you get on retainer with these like consortium type things. They bring in a lot of different freelancers to do work for all these different churches. And you just create unlimited church graphics for churches for like a couple $1,000s a month. So the fact that I even have solo church clients I think it's kind of a miracle, because that's kind of fading out, I think.
Huh. And do you think that those places recycle the graphics, like to swap out the logo?
100%. 100%. Unless, I think that there's some of them you can like pay for like a premium, and you like the church owns the graphic. But for the most part, you can see that these graphics are being reused. Like if you're on social media for any amount of time and churches are targeting your demographic, like you're seeing the same graphics modified a little bit across social. It's crazy, man.
Huh. Who knew that would become a thing? I mean, it makes sense. Especially there are so many churches and many of them are localized that if someone in Cincinnati using a graphic and someone in Utah is, most of the folks are not going to see the same thing. So if it's good, it's good. That's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, the other thing that I'm very curious about, because there's a reference to it on your site, and I went to the Instagram and it looks super rad, but it looks like it might be kind of in a holding pattern. Frankie Brand Co. Tell us a little bit about what that is and where it's headed.
Where it's headed, that's interesting. I'll have to hopefully get an answer for that as I'm talking about it. So Frankie was my granddad. I already mentioned him once. Frankie was my granddad. He passed away several years ago. He grew up a farmer, grew up a truck driver. He was a greaser, really into motorcycles. Really just, I mean, die hard, loved Kentucky. It was just a good man. You know, he worked hard, loved his family, provided for him, was always present. And when he passed away, honestly, I think it was probably the hardest loss I've ever suffered, at least up to this point. And just, you know, as a creative, I think one of the ways that we tend to cope with things, or as an artist, we just tend to pour that emotion and pour all that kind of unknown in our brains at that time, like just into some kind of project, whether it's writing or painting or whatever. Like my thing was like, I want to make something that would be really useful. Like he was a man of the device. He loved machines. He loved simple tools. He loved those kinds of things. So what made sense was, man, I want to make physical products that I can, you know, sell or give to makers or creators or, you know, farmers or whatever, that they can keep in their back pocket and they can, you know, use whenever they're in like a pinch. So I designed some bandanas. I carry a bandana in my back pocket with me everywhere I go. Designed 2 different ones for that and had someone local screen print it for me. And then I did obviously some stickers, and then you have to do stickers, right? And then some carpenter pencils. So just made like these little wooden carpenter pencils. Had a guy here in town engrave them for me. Just some useful things. So, you know, as far as where it's going, man, I don't know. It's one of those things where it kind of feels like it's okay just kind of resting where it's at. It did what I set out to do with it. I feel like I honored him well. I feel like I told a good story, invited people into something that they weren't a part of. Yeah. And I made some rad stuff, and it was cool, you know? And I got to use all the things that I do. So I'm a photographer and a designer. I also write. So I do a lot of different things. So the fact that I was able to kind of blend all that into this one project that meant so much was a kind of a good release of those emotions, and kind of a good way to, I don't know if closure is the right word, but that, I think I'll run with it. I think that's the best way to say it. It's like it helped kind of heal some stuff. So
yeah, I love a good carpenter pencil. I have a whole container of them. They're hidden all over the house, and my girls have asked me in the past, like, Dad, why is the pencil flat? I'm like, oh, how much time do you have? Because the use case of it not rolling off your sheet goods, of being able to use it as a spacer, being able to, you know, measure things with it, all that kind of stuff.
Straight edge.
What a handy tool. Straight edge. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to make things that were, you know, could be used in a pinch. One of the things that I really always admired about my granddad was his ability to just solve a problem with whatever he had around him. You know, I call it Kentucky ingenuity. You know, you could take a zip tie and a piece of duct tape and get your car running. So the fact that I could put bandanas out there, I mean, you can use them as a rag, you can use them as a tie 'em around your leg if you cut, whatever. It's whatever, man. Whatever you could think of to use it for, you can use it for it. So that's what I set out to do, and I think I did a pretty all right job with it. And I hope, I think you'd be honored with it. So
that's cool. When you got into photography and design, you said it came out of playing in bands, band posters. So were you self-taught, or did you do any formal education?
I went to college, but I dropped out to play music. So music's the through line, man. Everything since I was, 13 or 14 years old, like music was everything. Like that's all I wanted to do. So design was never really on my radar. I think I've always kind of had like a lean towards the creative. But I didn't like sit around in class and sketch and doodle and do all that kind of stuff. That was never my thing. I was more of a writer before I was a designer. But design, I mean, you need posters as a band. You need, that one photo to put on social, so I learned how to compose a picture and do a self-timer of 4 guys standing in an alley, whatever. Like, so yeah, it was never on my radar to do art or design or anything like that in college. I didn't really start it until after. But then just YouTube University, asking friends for advice or help or whatever. So, but mostly self-taught, just trial and error and kind of figuring that stuff out as you go.
Yeah, it's incredible how deep you can go and how far you can get with like an ounce of creativity and YouTube. I am not mechanically inclined when it comes to vehicles. And yet I don't want to pay a mechanic to do like a very simple task.
Dude, I hear you.
And so YouTube has become, in more ways than one, my like go-to place to be like, all right, I'm just going to do this myself. Sometimes I should have just taken it to the mechanic, but
sure.
What a great tool.
Yeah, and now you know how to do it.
Yeah.
Or you know what not to do the next time.
Right. Yeah. And even this is a silly story, but our air conditioner here outside, the blower unit is next to our chicken coop. And so it gets very, very dusty. And last year when they came to service it, the guy's like, you're going to need this special deep clean. And I was just kind of like, okay. And so I told him, go ahead, do it. And like, he's out there doing it. And I'm looking it up on YouTube. I'm like, I could have saved myself hundreds of dollars and done it myself. But he convinced me that, no, you needed this special thing.
Yep.
But yeah. And you mentioned that your kids are all into art and creativity. Is that something that they came to naturally, or have you created spaces and places for them to experience that stuff?
I think a little bit of both. I think it's one of those things where, so traditional education, I'm not going to crap on how schools are right now, but I'll crap on how schools were a little bit as we were growing up. Because there's the whole like industrial aim, right, for the way the education system's kind of built. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized like, man, like the reason I'm so distracted all the time is not because I actually don't like to read, or not because I don't like to do this or that, or maybe the reason I didn't pick up on math very easily as I got older wasn't because I was an idiot. It was because I was being taught in a way that wasn't conducive for me learning it, So I think for our kids, we just try and pay attention to what their strengths are. Our oldest is she's a go-getter. Like she's very self-motivated. If she gets an idea in her head, she just freaking runs after it and doesn't stop until she figures it out. I mean, she's like, I'm not an illustrator at all. I like to kind of doodle a little bit, but I don't draw very much. But my daughter, man, she just like fills up notebooks, and she loves to paint. She loves to sketch. And she's really pretty good. So we just make sure she's got paper and pens, and she'll just kind of do it on her own. Our son is different, man. He's he's a bit of he's a bit of a wild card. I mean, he's the only boy and he's the youngest. And he's really smart. And that's can sometimes be it can sometimes be a problem because he's so smart. He knows where to go to get into stuff and how to like do the wrong thing really well, if that makes sense. But like I'm waiting for his like creative bug to kind of come out, because it's I don't know how to explain it. He's when people say he's a boy, like he's a boy, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's all boy. He loves to get muddy and make stuff outside. And we just did he just had like a little pinewood derby race last weekend, and we worked on his car over, last Friday or so. And it was just really cool, like hearing his ideas and what he wanted the car to look like. And I don't know how that translates into his creativity yet, but I don't know. His name's Isaac, so like we named him after Isaac from the Bible, which means he laughs. And when we were pregnant with him, we really felt like he was going to just be like this abundance of joy. Like, he wants to make people smile, and he wants to make people laugh all the time. So there's some performative element to his personality that I just haven't quite nailed down. But it's been fun to see it kind of blossom a little bit and come out of him. Yeah. And our middle daughter, she wants to do everything that her older sister does. But she's also got some stuff where she's like, she really likes doing stuff with like textile and like fabric. She does like pot holders, like loom type of arts and stuff like that. Yeah. Which is one of those things that me and my wife were like, where did this even come from? Like, how do you know you want to do this? And she's really good. She picks up on it really, really quickly. And it's just cool to see their creativity come out in different ways that me and my wife have. And just to hear them get excited and kind of run after those things. So anything we can do to cultivate that in our home, I think it's a priority for us.
What has watching them explore their interests and likes taught you or influenced you in any way in your own creative endeavors?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, man. I think day to day, like, we get so caught up in the grind. We get so caught up in the notifications and the pings and just the stresses of being adults that we kind of forget about the wonder of making something out of nothing. My oldest just crocheted a scarf, and she's like, Daddy, look, I'm almost done. Daddy, I've got this. I figured out how to do this thing. Daddy, look at this. And I'm just like, man, like, there's just something so special in pursuing making stuff with that sense of awe and wonder and like just delight, and it's okay to be proud of ourselves, and it's okay to get excited about the things that we made. That doesn't mean that you're prideful. You can be humble and proud of your stuff at the same time. And I also realized that everything they do, it's usually for the first time they've done it. When those things that they get really excited about. And I just forget what it means to do something new sometimes. So it's good to push ourselves and experiment and fail forward. That's kind of my phrase of fatherhood is fail forward. Don't let it stop you.
That's good. I love the way that you phrase that. One is like, you can be proud of your work and humble at the same time. And this idea that often when they're like so excited about it, it's the first time they've done it. They're just like, look what I did. I made this. What a great reminder. Speaking of that, what is something that you made recently that you're like, man, this was super cool, and I'm really happy with how it turned out?
So I've got this like ongoing struggle with social media. I think a lot of people can probably resonate with that. It's hard to get ahead anymore. It's hard to get anybody to see anything that you're doing. And it just kind of sucks the life out of and creativity for me. And it's just been a real battle because I know I need it. I know that I have to use it, and there's no escaping that right now. Back to my granddad. He was born in the early, like, 1939. So he was kind of coming out of the Depression, right? Kept everything. I don't know if I'd call him a hoarder. He might have been a hoarder a little bit, but I think I can understand why. You know what I mean? But he kept all the newspaper clippings from when Pete Rose was like one hit away from the hit record, right? So there's just all these newspaper clippings from 1985 of Pete Rose chasing this record to become the hit king. And I brought those home with me because I love baseball. I love old stuff, and just wanted to have them. I just thought it would be kind of a cool thing to keep. So I took some like macro photos of the pictures in the newspaper, and it was just real, like, half-tone, grainy, real textured, and it just looked really rad to me. And I have some old softball bats that he had down in his basement too. Took some photos of those, and I just kind of put together this like little carousel for Instagram. And I spent like half of my day on it. Doesn't gain me anything. I didn't get anything out of it besides the fact that I was using some of these old things that he kept that I brought home. I love baseball. I love the Cincinnati Reds, regardless of how much they hurt me. And it was just fun, and I was really happy with it. And yeah, it's on my Instagram feed. I probably got like 8 likes, and that's okay. I had a good time doing it, and I learned some things. I played with some new techniques and stuff, and it was fun. So, and I've been doing a lot of photography of the stuff that I've brought home from my granddad's house. I mean, I've got shelves full of stuff right now, old belt buckles and old maps and all sorts of stuff, dude. It's wild, the stuff that I brought home. So the Reds thing was kind of a continuation of what I'd been doing already. And I've been really stoked on it. It's just kind of cool to see all that stuff that my granddad kept for no reason, really, being put to a different use than he probably ever imagined. So
yeah,
it's cool.
I was just looking at this stuff too, and it's super rad stuff. I also have a book. When I was a kid, I used to read this book like front to back so many times. It's called just Johnny Bench, but all throughout the whole thing, I mean, it's massive type. It's a little kid's book.
Yeah, dude.
But throughout the book, there's all sorts of, photos. In this book was when I saw for the first time Johnny Bench holding 6 baseballs in his hand.
Oh yeah, yep.
Which is just an insane. If you don't follow baseball, that's very difficult to do. That's a large hand. But yeah, the Reds have such a good history and nostalgia too.
Mm-hmm. That's my team. I'll go through whatever they need to take me through.
And if you're listening to this on audio, go check out the YouTube video, because I will also share some images of what Matt was talking about there, of the opening day graphics and whatnot. But yeah, man, this has been really fun. The conversation flew by, but I want to ask you 2 more questions before we go. And those are, what has been your greatest parenting success, and what has been your greatest parenting either learning or failure?
Let's see. Where do we start? Let's start with the failure, because then we'll end it on a high note. So I grew up an only child. I have a couple step siblings, but it was mostly just me kind of in our house. And per the usual only child, I was spoiled and got most of what I wanted, and it's hard for me to share anything. And having kids is really really exposed that in me. I'm still I can be really selfish, and I can be really just not territorial. Territorial is not the right word, but I just want my things and I don't want anybody to mess with it, you know? And that just, it doesn't work with kids. Um, and I'm just a little too selfish. And I wish I was a little more, open to share. Like, I wish my kids' relationship with the things that I love, wasn't guarded by my love of those things. Um, I wish that it was like food for the soil. You know what I mean? I wish it was the fertilizer for them to love those things. And it probably is, to be honest. Like, they love things because I love things. I know that for sure. But they would probably love them more, and we would probably have more to connect over if I wasn't such a jerk about it sometimes. Um, so yeah, I'm working on it. And I think it's going to be a lifelong thing. Paul, in the Bible, Paul talks about he has a thorn in his side, and I think that's my thorn. Is I'm just think about myself more than I think about others a lot of times. I wish I didn't. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's check in a year to see if I've gotten better at it. I think success, though, and this is going to be a cop out, and there's probably more to it, but man, my kids have the most amazing mom, and I like to take credit for that because, you know, I had her first. I married her. So she's just the rock and the glue of our family. I mean, she's just amazing. You know, she's steady. She's loyal. She cares about every single person in this house more than she cares about herself. She's the complete opposite of me when it comes to that. She puts herself absolutely last all the time. And she's just a shining example of what a good human and a good parent and a good partner is supposed to be. If that's a cop out, I can come up with something else. When I knew that question was coming, I'm like, I think this is the answer, and I think that's where how I'm gonna wrap that one up.
Yeah, that's good. I think this podcast has been great in getting to know the dads and the designers, and I think that's an important element of a kid's life. But quite frequently, I don't think we give our partners the credit that they deserve on the podcast because the theme isn't momsigner, but they're quite frequently partners are a massive part of enabling us to do these things. I know my wife is, and so yeah, I love that answer. Yeah, I really appreciate your time. If folks wanted to find you online, where can they go to do that?
Yeah, I think best place is just go to my website. I've got all my social links and stuff right at the top. Just hoffmanmade.com. If you want to look me up on social media, you can. Just 2 underscores before and after my name, Matt Hoffman. Or Frankie Brand. If you want to reach out there, that's cool too. I've got all sorts of projects. I've got things that my hands are in all over the place. So website's probably the most simple and easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Matt, so much for coming on.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for having me. This was awesome.